Hello and welcome to the 5th series of Forthright,
the podcast with, for and by women writers.
If you enjoy the show, please give us a follow and a review wherever you listen to your podcasts.
We've got some fantastic writers for you coming up. We hope you enjoy.
Hi and welcome to the Forthright podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Anna, and today we're absolutely delighted to have Fiona Williams. Hello, Fiona.
Hello, thank you for having me.
We're delighted that you're here. So Fiona Williams is a writer of literary fiction. Her debut novel, The House of Broken Bricks, was winner of the 2021 Bridport Prize, Peggy Chapman-Andrews' first novel award, and published by Faber in January 2024. She holds a BSc Honours in Biological Sciences from the University of Westminster and had a long career as a medical writer. She has since gained an MA with distinction in creative writing from Bath Spa University and is currently completing a PhD in creative writing at the University of Exeter. Born and raised in South East London, she now lives with her husband and 2 children in Exeter, where her writing focuses primarily on relationships between identity, belonging, nature and landscape.
Fiona's going to give us a reading from her book, The House of Broken Bricks, which I absolutely loved. So I'm excited to hear you reading it. The blurb for the book. If every marriage has its seasons, Richard and Tess's is in deep winter. As day breaks over the Somerset levels, Tess watches the chamomile clouds part. This morning, 2 sunrises graze the frosted floodplains. One rises low over a stretch of willows, while the other shines brightly from beneath the water. The light paints the house a startling crimson, a painful beauty that Tess, Richard and their son Max, riddled with grief, find easy to ignore. But none of them can ignore Sonny, who desperately wants things to go back to the way they were before. As the seasons change and the cracks in the bricks let in more light, might this broken family find a way to start to heal? So if you just let us know whereabouts in the book you're reading.
So I'm going to read today just a section from the autumn section of the book. So the book's divided into the 4 seasons, so we start with autumn and end in summer. So I'd like to read a short Sonny chapter. Sonny's one of the twins in the novel. And so this is when the weather's gradually getting colder, winter's approaching quite quickly, and Sonny knows that his mother struggles at this time of year. So he's trying to comfort her and remind her that despite, the damp and the darkness, their life in the countryside is worth celebrating. Okay, so here's Sonny. The sweet smell of rain moves through the house. There's a storm coming. It wakes the dead who yawn and stir inside the soil to wait with dry throats. Out on the moor, the starlings come home to roost. Keep one eye open in case a sparrowhawk takes your head. Did you hear? A chicken farmer in Larkhill killed himself with a shotgun. Shrews shrink into their winter skins. Under the water, brown lily leaves float like submarines. Collared doves fight over winter weed seeds. Don't forget to close the door to the woodshed. Toads follow the yellow light of the hunter's moon. Mum's planning her escape while Dad hides inside a coffee fog, reading the parish newsletter. It's Dimpsy outside. Rain falls into a blue garden. Now the wet days are getting colder. The more Mum talks about moving. She does this every year, and usually we laugh about it and tell her to stop being silly. Why would we want to move away from here? But not this year. Dad chooses not to hear her, and Max acts as though she's speaking to someone else. When she's not thinking about London, she's dreaming about owning a house in Jamaica. Oh, Sonny, I'd give anything to swap this awful mud for dry red dirt, the sandy kind that stains the soles of your feet. Instead of hemlock, ragwort, and deadly nightshade, and those horrible shaggy ink caps overflowing with slime, we could have bougainvillea, butterfly jasmine, and candy-coloured hibiscus petals. Instead of cowering indoors because of this constant drizzle, we could stretch out bare-legged beneath a shocking blue sky. A hot sun baking my skin a deeper, darker brown. There'd be no more frost or numb toes swollen with chilblains, no more Raynaud's freezing the 3rd finger of my left hand, no more being left out in the cold. Imagine. Her thoughts come to me in bursts. They slip out of her as she searches in her wardrobe for a thicker jumper. She sighs them out at breakfast over porridge. Listen, she's sprinkling them around the kitchen like paprika over raw chicken. Most evenings when Dad vanishes, she sits staring at the adverts for white-gated beachfront houses on her laptop. I sit next to her on the sofa, my arms wrapped tight around her stomach. But Mum, you don't know anything about living in Jamaica. The only sky she really knows is the smog grey one that looks down on busy streets filled with double-decker buses. All she can remember is her old backyard, where she and Auntie Peaches used to play when they were little girls, sucking on cola ice lollies and pestering the ants. Her sugarcane comes peeled and split, £3 a bag in Deptford Market. She brings home her Caribbean treasure from our London trips, but moans, in Nana's voice, that her guineps, nesberries, custard apples, and spiky June plums are undersized, force-ripened, lacking in flavour. I wonder, but how do you know? Mum went to Montego Bay when she was 7 and swam in a warm sea in a frilly pink swimming costume. I've seen the pictures in her old photo album. She tells the stories about the farm where Nana grew up, how she roamed the bush with her sisters and brothers, eating juicy sweet mangoes and roasting songbirds on sticks. She tells us how they drank milk from their own goats, baked their own bread, grew their own coffee, callaloo, yams and bananas. But that's the same as us, I tell her. We drink milk fresh from the cows at Winslow Farm, break our own bread, grow our own apples, strawberries, carrots, potatoes and tomatoes, roam the fields, climbing stiles and running through hay meadows. She's forgotten she used to love it here. All she ever wanted was to be surrounded by bush, like her grandparents. I remember hearing her say this down the phone to Auntie Peaches. It's the reason she left London in the first place. She loved to tell us about when she met Dad, how he'd lured her away when she finished university, how it hadn't taken much to persuade her. She was supposed to become an architect and design city skyscrapers, but he told her about the wildflowers, honeysuckle, bees in the apple orchards, the sweet smell of willies, about growing rhubarb and making sparkling elderflower wine. She said it sounded like the darling buds of May. She used to laugh at this part of the story, and me and Max laughed too, even though we didn't know what she was talking about. Thank you.
Oh, I just loved it so much. It's so moving. Like I had big, like proper snotty sobs at points, and it just, you read it, it's like kind of all coming back, and it's just, yeah, it was. Where did the idea for this book come from?
Oh, I think I have to say that the idea, it's come from lots of different places. My husband played a big part in it because he had a dream one night, and so he had this dream about some twins. I also saw some twins that were on, I think they were on GMTV, that were twins of different colours. There was two young ladies, and I was absolutely fascinated by their stories. And then some of it, I guess, comes from just my experiences and the experiences of my family living on the Somerset level and pulling all that together. And I think at the time I had lots of questions and concerns about identity and perception and how you view yourself versus how other people view you. So pulling all those things together, the story sort of drew life from all of those things, I think.
So, coming from an idea like that, what was your way into your writing process with this then? I
think for me, it's a difficult one. And I think, I will be honest, there were many drafts. And when I look back at my very early drafts, they're very different from where I ended up in the end. I think all the way through, I knew I wanted it to cover 1 year.
Yeah.
So I had my 4 seasons, and I think that was a real kind of stabilizing factor for me in terms of my writing. I really wanted to focus on the 4th season, and I really wanted each section to reflect that season. So the dampness of autumn, the kind of still and coldness of the winter, and then that sense of hope and warmness in the summer and spring. So I think that really helped me to kind of propel the writing forward. But I'm not a linear writer. I don't write chronologically.
So were you flitting between the seasons, as it were, as you were writing?
Yeah, I'm very much, I think it's like a patchwork writer where I write, I'm very scene-based. So I've flit all over the place depending on my mood that day, what I'd seen on my walks that day, because I wanted to incorporate as much of the sort of Somerset landscape and sort of natural history as possible. So sometimes my writing was literally dictated by what I'd seen on a walk that day. So it was like lots of different patches and then finding ways to stitch them together. And so lots of bits got moved around. And so, yeah, I think now I'm writing again. I think that is just how I write. I can't start at the beginning and get to the end. That doesn't seem to work for me.
But did you have an idea of what that end might be when you started on the beginning, or was it a journey of discovery for you through writing?
No, I knew what the end would be. It was just a case of getting to the end. And I also knew what aspects I wanted to reveal. And again, it's trying to work out where to place those reveals right at the beginning. Like Vonnegut says, he says, tell everyone everything right at the beginning, or to have it at the end. And so that was a kind of, I had everything in my head. It was just a question of moving it all around and figuring out the best sequence to put it into. And I always knew that I wanted to do the four voices as well.
Yeah, I had a question about that, but because they're so distinct, and obviously there is the reveal, which no spoilers, I'm not going to kind of talk about, but it's really powerful. So how do you kind of make sure that those four voices are distinct when you're working on them?
I think for me, it's mood. It really is a mood thing, and it's being in the right mood. I think in the early draft, I was really quite just concerned with the story.
Yeah.
And it's like trying to get a story on the page. I didn't really think at that point too deeply about each character. But then after spending time with them, I think you can't help but get to know that character completely. And it was that real sense of trying to see them as real people. And then I would be dictated by mood. You know, some days I'd wake up and I'd go out for a walk and see so many things, and I'd be like, right, today's definitely a Sunny day, because I've seen lots of things that I know that Sunny would love to talk about.
Yeah.
And then there's days where I know I'm in a Max mood. Tess was probably the hardest to write, even though she's the one that's closest to me. In Australia, you know, she's a woman of, you know, Jamaican heritage, living in London, and she's moved out to the Somerset level. So she should have been easy to write, but she was probably the hardest, I think, because I had to kind of really think for her, you know, what do I want her to portray? What aspects of kind of British culture do I want to bring forward? Whereas with the boys and the kids, I could just kind of relax and just let that flow quite naturally. And then obviously Richard is in third person. So he's the only one that's in third person. The other three are in first person. And that, you know, I had played around with that back and forwards for a while and thought, no, I do want to have him in third person. And that was partly because, you know, he's at home in the village. He's back in his kind of home environment. Whereas for Tess and the boys, even though the boys were born there, there's this sense of being displaced, of being kind of alienated within this space. And so I wanted the reader to really get inside their head and go through the story in that first person and really kind of experience it at the same time as they were experiencing it. Whereas Richard, I wanted him a bit removed. You know, this is his landscape. He's not looking at the same kind of identity issues that the others are. And also, he's doing stuff. He's, you know, secretly busy. And so I didn't really want the reader inside his head. I wanted to keep some of that hidden until the end.
Well, it's an extraordinary book and a very worthy winner of the Bridport Prize. But what was that like? Debut novel, kind of that level of accolade through award. Can you just talk us a bit through that for all of us who are just absolutely green with jealousy?
And did you, with the prize, is that what you put in 10,000 words? Is that one, or was it the whole novel?
Oh God, no! It was a tiny bit, a little bit. I think so. I think it might have been 10,000 words.
And had you finished it?
No,
not no. Okay.
Wow, no pressure then.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually have any plans to either. I think because I finished my MA with, I think, about a third of a manuscript at the end of the MA, and then I spent a couple of months kind of tinkering around with it. But I went back to work, went back to normal life, you know, the kids. I was on the small holding then, so lots of animals, just really, really busy. And so I think I kind of thought, well, I've had my little stint at writing. That was fun. Let's just put it away now and get back to the real world and crack on with working. But you kind of really encourage at the end of the MA to, you know, put your work out there, apply for competitions. So I kind of applied just as a kind of exercise in applying without any expectation of anything happening. And I literally sent it off and forgot all about it. But they kind of come back to you to sort of say, oh, you've made it to the long list. Can we have some more? And so it's a question of running away and quickly editing what I had, sending that in, and then it's like, oh, you made the shortlist, can we have a bit more? And then it's like, oh gosh, okay, I'm gonna have to write something now, and sending that in, and then finding out you've won, which is just a shock.
How utterly brilliant.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Did you have, so that your kind of like route into publication then from there, did you then get an agent from that point, or what was your process from there?
Very, very quick. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate. I know that, the normal ways, you're out there looking and searching and trying to hope that someone will at least speak to you. But as soon as the prize was announced, people got in touch with me, which was wonderful. So I was really lucky to be able to choose the agent that I wanted. But even that whole process was just, I don't think, nothing prepares you for it. There's no sort of like training so I can honestly say now that I didn't feel anything. I think I was completely numb and robotic, and that whole 2 months between winning, I won I think in the November, and then Faber, it went to Faber I think by February. So it was so fast that I didn't even have time to process what was happening until it was all done and dusted. It was like, wow, it's done, it's gone. It got preempted so quickly, and then and everyone says, oh, how was it? And I'm like, I don't know, because I feel like I missed it because I wasn't there. I wasn't present when it was happening.
No, I can really understand that though. I know that like with times of stress and things like that a lot of it just doesn't get embedded, does it?
No, just not at all.
Or I think times of elation as well, and things. I was just thinking about like when you get married, and then afterwards you think like, I don't actually remember talking to anybody, or I don't remember any of it. So from that point, then, so you had, so then you had your agent, and then and it was going to kind of full publication. Was the kind of point between when the award was won and then when it came out, the pandemic was in the middle of that, wasn't it? So did that kind of...
Just before, the pandemic was just before I sent it to the competition, because I started my MA and then I think we went into lockdown halfway through.
Right.
So just coming out, it was kind of in the production line for quite a while. It was 2 years before it actually got printed, which was then, again, a very strange thing, because you had this huge rush, this huge burst of energy at the beginning, and it's like this shocking excitement and lots of crying. And then there was nothing, like silence for a really long time before kind of copy editing and editing started. And there's this real sort of nervousness that maybe you imagined it all and it's not actually happening. And is it really happening? Did I make it all up? But so I think by the time the book came out, I think it was good in a way, because it gave me time to sort of calm down and really think about things and prepare myself, because the publication year was really quite big for me, especially as I'm quite an introverted person. And I've had to change all of that over like 12 months. I've had to kind of put all of that away and step outside all of my comfort zones. So I think it was quite, looking back now, I think even though it felt like a long wait, I'm quite glad I had the wait to get myself prepared. It's been a shock to the system.
And so we talked a bit about, that you like to go for a walk, and then your writing's very influenced by what you've seen on your walk. How do you know then when then you're back, you sit down, you do your writing? How do you know if you've had a successful day? Do you aim for a word count or?
No. Oh gosh, not that organised. No, there's no, no, nothing like that. I'd never meet it. I'd just be putting pressure on myself. No, I think there's two sorts of days I think it fell into. There's the wonderful days that for some reason, and I don't know why those days are like that, where the writing just comes by itself. Those are my wonderful days where I sit down. I tend to be really tired, or there's chaos in the background, the TV's on, but something is awake that day and it just comes out wonderfully and I can write a lot. And then there's the hard work days where I'm fighting over a passage, fighting over a page, moving things around, not happy with this, getting cross, going and writing something else, coming back. So yeah, it seems to fall into two categories. I'd say more of the second one and not enough of the first.
And so you, as part of your Creative Writing MA, you started the House of Broken Bricks and continued from that point on, and you're now completing a PhD in creative writing.
I don't know why.
So you've said that you're writing something at the moment. Is your next novel part of your PhD?
No, I'm not. Do you know what? I'm not doing a novel just at the moment, purely because I think for literary fiction, especially for me, I should say, I'm not ready yet. Yeah. So the ideas are still moving around in the back of my head, and I need to put them in order first. And I still see myself. I think for me, coming from a science background, and I've kind of switched now. I've defected into humanities. I'm doing English and creative writing. This has been quite a big mental, cultural shift for me. So I still see myself very much as a new writer, as a beginner. So I'm quite enjoying using the PhD to experiment just with different forms and just to see what I can do. Because I had never written anything before the House of Broken Bricks. I'd never tried to write a book or anything. So I'm curious to see what else I can write, what other styles I can write, what I like writing. So I'm doing a collection of short stories for my PhD, just experimental, just to kind of feel into different shapes, so that I can then from that work out which one I fancy using for the next novel.
Brilliant. I think that's a great plan.
What an exciting thing to be able to do, though, to just kind of really play with it.
It is.
And in the context of study as well.
Yeah.
It is. I still can't believe I'm doing it. I'm like, how did this happen? Where did this come from? It's hard going, I won't lie, because there's obviously there's the writing side, but there's also like the thesis side and all that kind of research. So, which luckily I think with my science work, my science background, that bit hasn't been too much of a shock. So I won't lie. It's not easy. It's a lot of work, especially with the kids and everything else at home that I've got to juggle. But I am very grateful for the opportunity, and I think the whole thing is my whole life trajectory has changed completely. So it's quite exciting to wonder what will come next or where things will lead to. Because at this moment, I haven't a clue. My life's been quite formulaic, and I've reached a point now where I don't know what's coming next, which is quite scary but exciting.
And it just sounds really sensible as well that you're not putting, that pressure on yourself to come up with a new novel sort of straight off the back of the first one.
Because I know there's a lot of advice that your window of opportunity is open and you should strike, and I know a lot of people use that. And I think I've had to really sit down and work out what I want from this, because I never thought the book would ever get published. So there was never I dream of being a published writer. I didn't have that vision. So now it's kind of here. I'm like, there's a lot I want to do and explore. So, and writing's part of that. So doing the PhD I've met so many amazing people, been involved in lots of really interesting projects, and it's quite nice. I'm not going to put myself under pressure. And I think when I do come to write the next novel, I want it to be really good. So I feel that's going to take some time to really think about what I want it to be. I think if I tried to kind of grab that opportunity straight away, I would just be producing for commercial reasons. And that's just not me. It's not what's driving me. So I'm happy to just wait till another good novel comes and then put it out there.
Are you still writing scientifically, or has that, or not so much now?
That has actually stopped. Yeah, only recently. That's only stopped really recently, just because of PhD, and I'm teaching now as well. I'm teaching at Exeter University.
Wonderful.
Just as a kind of a trainee teacher, but it's. So that's taken up all my time. So yeah, I have stopped doing that, which is something that I really wanted to stop. So that's been a real win for me. It's like, because I think I've spent years doing science, and now I've reached that midlife moment of I'm bored of this. I want to do something else. So it's quite a nice departure for me to put that behind me. I don't think I'll ever go back to it. I don't know what will happen next, but I won't go back in that direction. I think the creative side of my brain has finally woken up.
Wonderful.
And the scientific, analytical side is a bit in the background. So yeah, so it's been really nice to have a career change at this stage in my life, I think.
It sounds like it's a perfect time for a change as well. I just wondered from the with that switch, what was the reaction from your kind of science colleagues or people you knew in the scientific world that actually Fiona Williams is a fantastic award-winning novelist?
Do you know what? I haven't spoken to quite a few of them recently. I don't know, actually. I think people have been generally really pleased and really excited. There has been a bit of there has been some shock and sort of, when were you doing that then? Because I think they didn't see me doing it because I kind of do it around chores and family and everything else. So I think that's been quite a surprise because I'm not haven't been very talkative about it, especially when I was writing. So people didn't know I was writing at the time. So I think it's come as a surprise to a lot of people. Even my own brother only found out when the book's printed because I realised and even through that 2 years of waiting for it to be in print, I told very few people, very few, didn't celebrate, just pretended that it wasn't happening and just carried on as normal. So I think people are still only finding out now. People are like, oh my God, you wrote a book. It's like, yeah, did.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess with the PhD that you have to read quite widely as you're kind of exploring these different forms of short stories. But what kind of books do you like reading yourself?
Oh, the PhD's killed my reading, which is sad because it's everything's so critical that you just can't read for fun. I'm a big reader. I would say I'm definitely a reader more than a writer. I love everything. I love fantasy, sci-fi. I read it all. I love Japanese novels, Chinese novels. Period, historic, anything. I really do. I just finished recently the Marriage Portrait.
Oh yeah, that was wonderful. Yeah,
absolutely loved. And I just read My Name is Morgan, which is another afternoon retelling. I think that's what it's called. My Name is Morgan. Yeah, which again I absolutely love because I love kind of retellings. I think it was My Name is Morgan. Morgan is my name. Sorry, wrong way around. Which was great, and I can't wait for the next one. I've got to get that. So I read all sorts. Yeah, I like reading very widely, depending on my mood and what I need. And I'm a big revisitor of books. Yeah. I've got books that are old friends that I go back to and read again when I'm in certain states of mind. So yeah,
I like that idea of having like a comfort book, like an old friend. Also, while you were making your recommendations there, Sam and I were furiously writing these down as well, I think, for our ever-increasing to be read pile. So, I mean, we're coming to an end of our conversation, which has absolutely whizzed by. It's been absolutely wonderful to talk to you, Fiona. And I think we've talked about... obviously, The House of Broken Bricks is your debut novel, and now you're kind of moving into a different form of writing and so on. For people who are coming to writing new at different points in their... What advice would you give to somebody who was starting out on their creative writing journey?
It's not an easy one. That's the first thing I would say. It's not an easy task. If there's something else you'd rather do that instead. I keep thinking, shall I give it all up and do silversmithing? I really like silverdew, and I'm like, that would be easier and potentially more fun. But I think it's getting over that fear of sharing your work. I know that's something that a lot of people find quite hard, and that's probably the one thing that going on the MA really helped me with is you're going to have to get feedback. So the more feedback you can get on your writing as you're going in, the better. And listen for where there's themes in the feedback, where more than 2 or 3 people are saying the same thing, and then that's how you can tell there's definitely something happening there that needs you to look at. So I think there's lots of people obviously start writing. There's so many people that write, but I've met so many people that write alone at home and don't share their work. They're afraid to share it, or they're concerned about people inputting on it and not understanding what they're trying to say. But I think getting feedback is something that, from a reading group, a writing group, from family, from friends, from anyone, I definitely say that's something that everybody needs as a writer.
Brilliant.
So for people that want to hear more from you, do you do the social media malarkey?
I am. I'm on Instagram, begrudgingly. I am. I've got my Fiona Williams rights on Instagram. I'm not a social media fan. I'm absolutely terrible at it. That's something that I've had to try and get on top of for the book. Otherwise, I don't think I would have gone on social media at all. I'm not very good at it, but I do try and post on Instagram. I think that's the only thing I do at the moment.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. It's been a total pleasure to get a chance to talk to you.
Thank you very much. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your writer friends about us.